organisation Young Minds, endorsed by the Royal College of Psychiatrists, show that 1 in 12 young people self-harm, and hospital admissions have increased by 68% over the last 10 years. But 85% of family doctors have never had any training in dealing with self-harm. Verity works with Young Minds here in the county and is on the phone. Hello, Verity.
Hello, hi.
Now, is this something you recognise amongst your friends? Is self-harming on the increase, do you think?
I definitely think it is. But it's thought to be around 10% of people, young people at the minute, self-harm, but it could actually be a lot higher than that. Obviously, it's something that young people don't like to talk about openly.
When we're talking about self-harming, what sort of things are we talking about?
Self-harm can be anything from the usual, what people expect, cutting themselves and their body, or it can even be overeating, taking drugs, smoking, or drinking too much alcohol. It covers a wide range of actions and behaviours.
And is that something that you see happening amongst your group of friends?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that a lot of people try to hide, because even after they've, say, recovered from self-harm, the scars are always there, which some people can actually find that triggering for them to then start the cycle again.
What makes a young person want to do something like that?
Usually, it's not actually about killing yourself or committing suicide. It's actually normally about the fact that they feel numb to their emotions, or they feel overwhelmed by their emotions, and they feel that that's the only way they can express themselves, or they feel like they're punishing themselves in some way by how horrible they feel. They feel they need to be punished.
It's terrible, isn't it, that we've got to a position where young people in the community feel so bad about themselves that they want to punish themselves?
Yeah, it's really terrible. And in the survey from Young Minds also, they've said about how it's the most concerning thing that young people, as well as parents and doctors, are worried about. It actually tops the list ahead of drugs, alcohol, or even gang violence.
Self-harming does?
Yeah.
And what about it is, this is a stupid question. I was going to ask you what about it is so worrying, but I guess the fact that you feel that you should do something like that to yourself must be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it must be, and there's not really that help out there, and half of all doctors don't feel that they don't know how to deal with it. If a young person came into the doctor's surgery and they wouldn't know how to deal with it, or they won't give the right treatment. Like sometimes they offer the psychiatric help, such as counselling, but that doesn't always work. And then sometimes they can refuse to give drugs to under 18s because they don't agree with them themselves, whereas sometimes that's what you need. And even still, the waiting times for appointments, you get one and then it can be 2 or 3 months until you get another one, which obviously during that time can worsen the young person emotionally, how they're feeling.
And is it something that's talked about amongst your friends? If somebody is doing something like this, is it something that they can talk to their friends about, do you think?
No, I think most young people probably feel more comfortable with not sharing their experiences online, but looking online for people with similar experiences rather than sharing it with other friends or people that they know. But I think if you... a lot of my friends from Young Minds, they are comfortable with it now because they've grown to accept that that's how they feel, and obviously they want to campaign as well to make it more commonly spoken about.
And is support available online? Are there kind of forums and stuff where you can go to talk about it?
Yeah, there's selfharm.co.uk, and also obviously the Young Minds website, which has a lot of information about it. But obviously there is a lot of information out there about self-harm as well, which has recently come to light, and that's not actually given the correct information about self-harm.
So, like what?
Just kind of information that would possibly make it worse for the young person, not giving them the correct support, or just generally, if, say, a parent went to try and understand what was going on with their son or daughter, not the right information's there.
It must be awful for the mums and dads as well in all of this, because if you've got a child who's, you know, taking a razor blade to themselves or a knife to themselves or just doing anything to harm themselves, it must be dreadful for mums and dads.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any kind of support for mums and dads, but there is the Young Minds Parents Helpline, which they've recently brought out, where any parents can ring into them and they'll basically discuss, because they've had a lot of young people go through it. But other than that, there isn't really any kind of support for the parents.
Now, I know this is something that you don't do, Verity, but you and I have had conversations in the past about anxiety and everything surrounding that. Can you understand what would make somebody want to do it, or is it something which is alien to you?
I think I can understand. I think it's a lot of personal things. I think a lot of people do it for different reasons, but I think it's mainly a kind of outlet that they feel like they can't control their life, but they can control the amount of times they self-harm. So in a way, they feel like they're controlling their life by doing that.
When you talk about it, it sounds a lot to me like conditions like anorexia as well, because that's about control, isn't it?
Yeah, that's included in self-harm as well, because obviously they're harming themselves by not eating, which is kind of what recently a Disney star, Demi Lovato, came out about how she self-harmed and also, self-harming cutting and also anorexia, which she's hoping to kind of promote herself to be kind of a mental health advocate, because there isn't many for young people, many stars that actually come out and say, I've had mental health, and declare it quite happily and openly.
Do you think being a young person and having problems with your mental health, people often just tell you to get over it and grow up, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I know that when I went to my doctor's surgery and when I was having suicidal thoughts, the doctor actually just told my mum to have a week off and hide any tablets from me, which isn't really the best help you can give someone who at that minute is feeling terribly suicidal.
What brought you to the point where you were feeling like that?
I don't know. It was just a lot of things. I mean, I'd been having problems since when I was really little, and just a lot of problems around school, and kind of built it up until at one point I just felt like I could not cope anymore, and that was it.
And after you'd been to the doctor and he told your mum to just have a week off, presumably you got better help at some point, did you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
And, sorry, carry on.
Sorry. I've had help from, obviously, Young Minds and a lot from Anxiety UK, as well as medications and therapies.
And are you okay now?
I'm still kind of anxious sometimes. I know that's probably something I'll always have to deal with, but I'm a lot better now, yes.
There'll be people listening to this, Verity, who are very worried about either their sons or their daughters or their grandchildren or even themselves, because it's not just young people who self-harm, is it? It carries on through later life as well.
Yeah.
Where can people go for support here?
They can go to the selfharm.co.uk website, Young Minds for young people, and the parent helplines for the parents, as well as obviously Mind, which is for the adults, but the same sort of website. And just aimed at more adult people, as well as going to their GP and asking for help there. It's
a very brave step, asking for help, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that can be very scary.
Thank you for talking to me this afternoon.
That's okay. Thank you for having me on.
Verity, who works with Young Minds in the county.
I thought it sounded like you.
Just recorded it.
I thought it sounded like